This video is about the Second Scottish War of Independence. The war lasted from 1332 to 1357. It was fought in Scotland, but some operations were in northern England. The war started with the invasion of Scotland by Edward Balliol, and to explain, Edward Balliol was the son of former Scottish King John Balliol, and Edward has still claims on the throne. In the end, King David, King of Scots, returned, and the Scottish independence was secured. Now, we had the First Scottish War of Independence before. During this war, Scotland, over a few decades, Scotland fought for her independence, could secure this, and also could regain internal stability. But that was threatened because of three factors. Firstly, we have Edward III and the English establishment. They wanted to regain their influence on Scotland. And Edward wanted effectively to be the Lord Paramount of Scotland again. Edward Balliol, mentioned before, son of a former Scottish king, who wanted to ascend to the Scottish throne. Now, the third factor, the disinherited. The disinherited were Scottish allies of the English during the First War of Independence, and they lost the territories, and of course they wanted their estates back. Scotland's king, Robert the Bruce, died in 1329, and his underage son David inherited the throne. Now, Balliol saw his chance, and he thought that is a very, very good opportunity to take over in Scotland. He landed with a few disinherited, and it should be said here, nobody thought that this will ever be a success. There was no official English involvement, private enterprise, everybody thought this must fail. But, surprise, surprise, Balliol won very clearly the Battle of Dublin Moor, so the Scots had to make him king. But yeah, he is not the luckiest of figures in history. He was not well liked, and the Scots expelled him, fairly soon after he was crowned king. But this campaign showed something is possible, something could be done in Scotland, and so the English decided to invade, and they won decisively in the Battle of Halidon Hill, and it did not take long. Scotland was under English control. David, the King of Scots, had to go into exile. He started his government in France. Now, the Scots were not quite happy to be under English reign, and they started guerrilla warfare. They were quite successful. They could regain control over the next years. But guerrilla warfare is always very, very nasty business. The land, the country was devastated afterwards. What helped, or was a good help for the Scots, was 100 Years' War. England was engaged in France, so forces had to be diverted towards France out of Scotland. Now, David could return to Scotland, and he started a few raids into northern England. Then he invaded northern England, and that was a game changer. English soil came on. The decisive English victory in the Battle of Neville's Cross also meant that David was captured and then imprisoned for quite a few years in London. Now, Balliol back again, but not successful. He was trying for nearly 10 years, around 10 years, to regain the Scottish throne. Didn't happen at all. Then the English need money, 100 Years' War, they need to finance it, so they released David. He could return to Scotland for a high ransom, and Scotland's independence was secured. So just that, Scotland remained independent till 1707, Treaty of the Union, then we have the Kingdom of Great Britain. But so in this context, it should be mentioned that we have the personal union 100 years before, so two countries, independent countries, Scotland, England, but the same person, the Scottish and the English throne. However, guerrilla warfare, high ransom, Scotland was economically ruined, so not too nice. For England, it looked better because now Scotland was no threat anymore. The northern threat was gone. England could concentrate on other theatres. This was the Second Scottish War of Independence in 5.